the House passed a bill that would force TikTok to either be sold or face a ban in the United States because of what the US says is China's influence on the app. Now, this is a really ironic way to stick it to what you call an authoritarian country, which is do authoritarian shit. Like, that's just amazing to me. Like, there's nothing more CCP than banning TikTok. Like, you couldn't get like more communist. But anyway, I digress. It was a bipartisan agreement, and Biden will likely sign it. He has said as much before, and we want to dig into that a little bit. So hang on, like just for some background, this
Mm.
legislation calls for Beijing-based parent ByteDance company to divest itself of TikTok or face the platform being banned from the app stores and web hosting services in the US. ByteDance would have a little more than 5 months from the enactment of the bill to comply. TikTok, which is accessed by more than 170 million Americans, sees this as an effective ban, said a spokeswoman. The company said by separating the US portion of the app wouldn't be practical and would undercut the appeal of the content app, which is global in nature. There are so many things to dig into in all of this. But a couple things about the legislation. Key to smoothing it out was Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco, who actually, obviously, is Biden's Deputy Attorney General. One person said, Krishna Murthy, who I believe worked on the bill, asked Monaco to help with the process because she was both a senior Biden administration official and a vocal proponent of a TikTok ban. Let's stop there. And Waj, let me just ask you, the idea of forcing a company in a so-called capitalist society
Mm.
to sell, like, that is a news story in and of itself. That's just wild to me.
We're really concerned about our national security, and we're concerned about data breaches, and we're concerned about consumer privacy, and we're concerned about foreign or hostile actors using social media to disrupt our free and fair elections, which is why, as you know, Francesca, we've done so much against Meta.
Yes.
Which is guilty of all of the above, and to the tune of being fined by the EU for a record $1.3 billion. People kind of casually forget that. That was Meta, folks. And so my take on this is the following. Of course, China is a bad faith actor. It's a foreign country. Remember the big balloon? But it's TikTok. It's the
Don't forget the
TikTok.
balloon.
Yeah, never forget the balloon. But it's not doing anything that Facebook hasn't already done.
Yep.
And also, Facebook has spread anti-vax conspiracy during a pandemic, thanks to like what was it, 12 or 15 conservative accounts, and also has helped fuel in many countries the rise of hate
Yes.
and genocidal campaigns, thanks to its algorithm being used and abused, targeting the minority of those countries. So that's
Against
fine.
I believe it was it in I think in the Philippines and also
Sri Lanka,
Sri
India.
Lanka. Yeah, a lot of people only connect to the internet via Facebook. So they've got effective monopoly on the internet. And there's all
Instagram
kinds
and
of
WhatsApp.
memes. Right. Yes. And so there's all kinds of awful memes targeting, yes, minority groups that float around. And like, I remember Duterte wanted to enlist Facebook and perhaps did to his benefit. That's all fine and good. We allow that. And at no point has anyone tried to, anyway.
No, but
Yeah.
it goes back to our last point, right? It's all connected because if you're looking at, for example, if you're looking at the war in Gaza, if you look at the Utes,
Youths.
uh, it's about 65-35 is a complete inversion, meaning quote unquote pro-Palestinian, right? Because they're seeing these images, these narratives. They're seeing TikTok kind of, for better and for worse, it's the wild, wild west, gives you all these stories that the old heads on Facebook and network television don't see. If you look at the politics on TikTok, for the most part, progressive, right? So this is deeply, deeply threatening to the right wing, to MAGA, to capitalists who want to control the narrative. In
Hang on,
addition to that, sorry, go ahead.
hold that thought because I do want to get there, but I do want to say I think there's a counterpoint to what
Yeah.
you're saying, which Nancy Pelosi articulated really well.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner. A winner.
So, I mean, I know you were trying to make some good points, but I don't, did you have like a were you talking like in a crossword or like a hangman's game or
I'm very
a game of
happy to
MASH?
know that tic-tac-toe in no way, shape, or form entered into my brain as a potential analogy to make my like not once. But last thing I'll say is like, look, that's the thing I want us to think about. If we truly care about privacy, which is we should, and these privacy concerns are real, national security concerns are real, Francesca.
Yeah.
Tell me why we haven't done anything remotely similar to Meta.
No, it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we know that they've sold our data. We know that they're like how many times a week do we get like, oh, there's a data breach on all your stuff at Target. Anyway, we've got your home address. Like it's endless. And so they're so not serious. And to me, it's playing into the right and their whole like whatever, their xenophobia and their war on big tech and bad faith war on big tech. But what I really want to talk about was what you mentioned, which was why. Why now are they banning TikTok? So I hate to say it, but the Wall Street Journal did a great job explaining all of this, which was how this relates to Israel and Gaza. And to your point, this is Representative Gallagher from, I think, Wyoming, introduced this. Wisconsin, excuse me. And he's well liked by Democrats and his GOP colleagues and respected as an expert on the issue. His efforts appeared to stall, however, in 2023, but were revived in part by the fallout from the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel, according to people close to TikTok and people close to lawmakers. TikTok's users quickly inundated the platform with videos about the attack and Israel's war on Gaza. Some lawmakers said TikTok appeared to favor pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel content and renewed calls to ban the app in the US. And we know that behind the scenes, folks like Sacha Baron Cohen, Deborah Messing probably, some other randos were like, TikTok is the enemy, you must ban it. And they were, lobbying behind the scenes to get it banned, which then counterpoint, look at all the IDF propaganda being posted on there as well. Where are they going to post all their stuff? Has been like others have pointed out. Where are they going to post videos of them posing in women's lingerie that they find from homes that they've demolished? I mean, anyway.
And also the sale. I don't know if pardon me if you didn't mention this. One of the buyers who has emerged in the past week is Steve Mnuchin. So I mean, it's just like can you please make it less glaring and less subtle, if possible?
And I think it should be sold. I understand the technology. It's a great business, and I'm going to put together a group to buy TikTok.
You're trying to buy TikTok?
I am, because this should be owned by U.S. businesses. There's no way that the Chinese would ever let a U.S. company own something like this in China.
You said
this dude, I was like, I'm so glad I don't have to look at certain people's faces anymore. This guy was one of them. Obviously, his face looks like an elbow, and he
no
is
disrespect to elbows.
Yeah, elbows do a lot of hard work, unlike this guy. And then he rears his little head. I'd really like to buy it. Yeah, I think it's a good business model, and I'd like to take advantage of it. Like, you're so right. Could you make it less obvious? And also, of course it's about Israel, because no other issue has Democrats acting so fucking dumb than Israel. Like, that's the only reason you could explain this move is because of Israel and the fear of AIPAC money.
And I'll say the big picture here is I'm glad you mentioned that Democrats are playing into the hands of the right wing. For the right wing, if you step back, it's consolidation of media. Steve Bannon said it's the media is the enemy, right? And you look at Elon Musk took over X. You look at Meta, a playground for right wing conspiracies. Look at Fox. You look at podcasts. For those who don't know, the whole podcast industry run by the right wing, radio, and now if Mnuchin gets his way, TikTok.
Yeah. I actually kind of wanted to bring in, maybe he has some thoughts on it, but maybe a little early, and then we can save our RFK dunking a little later. Dunking, hell yeah. Sorry. But he's the executive editor of the American Prospect magazine, which you get access to if you become a patron, patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. 60% off the paperback version, access to it online. His name is David Dayen. He's got a book called Monopolized Life in the Age of Corporate Power, and I want to talk to him about that. But David, TikTok, something that would never be possible in any other climate, in any other moment, in any other, to force the sale of a private company. I mean, explain, how do you make sense of any of this?
I think you guys are going to get mad at me. uh, Divestitures, forced sales have been a part of this country since its founding. There have been divestitures
Yeah, but not for a
of,
while.
because of actually literally every antitrust merger decision of the last several years.
But this is not on antitrust grounds.
No,
This is on xenophobic grounds.
Well, first of all, I would say it is not in opposition to a widespread privacy regime, but it's actually in relationship to it. If you actually look at what the FTC has done, they have done a number of huge data privacy litigations, including against Meta, by the way, which there is a current suit where they are banning Facebook from engaging in any targeted advertising to children after they violated the consent decree. Meta is fighting this, but they're slowly losing the case. There have been all kinds of other data broker and data hound litigation against Kochava, against BetterHelp, against GoodRx, against Avast, against YouTube. There are tons of privacy litigation, and I would put this actually in the context of being a complement to that, because there are some organizations that use and collect a massive amount of data that are simply out of the reach of the U.S. government. In this case, because it is owned by a foreign company that is in association with a foreign government. And so the idea of forcing a sale puts them under what really is a new regime in terms of data privacy and security that I think is ultimately fairly beneficial. Now, you can disagree with me. You can think it's for ulterior motives. That's fine. But
we know you're in love with Lena Khan. I mean, you said this, like, we just say it. We see you got a Lena Khan up in your locker.
I like Lena also.
I've known Lena for a long, long time.
But tell me it would not be better, like that it's better in the hands of Steve fucking Mnuchin, or if this were any other company.
I take a back seat to no one in hating on Steve Mnuchin. I actually wrote this book, Fat Cat, the Steve Mnuchin story. I co-wrote it with Rebecca Burns. There is no question that Steve Mnuchin is a boil on the butt of humanity. And you know, fortunately TikTok has no opportunity to foreclose on people, because that's literally Mnuchin's favorite thing.
Not yet. Just wait.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the who of this forced sale matters, and you know, we'll have to look at that if this bill passes, because I think the Senate, it's kind of going nowhere. So you know, news alert, like, I don't think this is going to happen. But
I don't think so either. Yeah.
But
I disagree, but that's from my vantage point.
You know, there is no way, and I've heard this proposed, that this is about media consolidation in the sense of, oh, Facebook will buy it, or oh, Google will buy it. There is no way that will happen. Like, there is no antitrust enforcer on earth that would allow that level of consolidation. And so, you know, then you look to outside groups, and Mnuchin himself, I think, does not have the working capital, but he might put a group together, and you know, we'd have to assess it at that point. But you know, ultimately, I think that if you think that there is a problem with the way in which companies are collecting, selling, and profiting off our data, what you should know is that the current regime of consumer protection that's in place right now, particularly at the Federal Trade Commission, but also at the CFPB and other agencies, is actually working to stop that. And so it's not really the case that there is that this TikTok thing came out of nowhere and it's being, it's the only thing that's being done on privacy. That's actually not.
No, but it was stalled, and I don't think it's a stretch to say that a lot of the behind the scenes lobbying around the kinds of information that was being spread about Gaza, I mean, that might have been the final sort of kick for this to get across the finish line.
Look, we have, I think that certainly AIPAC and those kinds of groups are very interested in getting their side of the story to be preeminent in with respect to this war. We just last week broke the story of we obtained AIPAC's talking points to Congress that came out of their policy conference last week in Washington, and we have the documents that literally they are presenting to Congress as this is our side of the story, and they literally say that Israel is not blocking aid to Gaza. They literally say that there is nobody starving in Gaza. I mean, they are completely out of whack with any kind of observable reality. And so the idea that they would also want to control a communications engine that is presenting a different view of things, sure, yeah.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.